You know, love. It's probably the one thing we all chase, write about, and sing about. But let's be honest, can any of us really explain it? Well, today we're going to explore a really unique guide that gives us a whole new map for this powerful and sometimes baffling emotion.
So let's just ask the big question right up front. What really is love? I mean, is it just a chemical thing happening in our brains, a deep spiritual connection, or something else entirely?
To get some answers, we're going to look at this really fascinating book, The Seven Colors of Love. And what makes it so cool is how it mashes up two very different worlds, ancient Sufi mysticism and modern psychology, all to give us a fresh roadmap for this feeling we all know.
Okay, so before we can jump into all seven colors, we've got to start with the basics. We have to understand the two primary shades that, according to the book, all other kinds of love are mixed from. The whole idea really rests on this one core distinction. So the idea here is that every kind of love we feel actually comes from one of two places. The first is what the book calls natural and instinctual. This is that raw biological drive. The other one, that's spiritual and intentional. It's a conscious choice, something that feels uniquely human. So let's talk about that first one, tabi sevgi, or natural love. This is the stuff of hormones, of instinct, and most importantly, it's pretty self-serving. Its main drive is about getting something, pleasure, security, you name it. It's a love that's all about what's in it for me. And then you've got the total opposite, ruhani sevgi, or spiritual love. If natural love is about getting, this one is 100% about giving. It's a choice. It's intentional, it's focusing on the other person's happiness, built on a foundation of respect and responsibility.
And when you put them side by side like this, it becomes super clear. Natural love, it's based on hormones, it's focused on the self, and its goal is basically self-satisfaction. But spiritual love, that's based on will, it's focused on the other person, and the goal is for both of you to grow. One consumes, the other nurtures. Big difference.
And if you need it put even more bluntly, check out this quote from the author. In hormonal love, no one loves their beloved for the beloved's sake. On the contrary, they love for their own self. Wow, that really makes you think, doesn't it? It's a stark way of putting it, but it hits the nail on the head. Okay, so we have these two basic types of love. But is that it? Where can love go from there? Well, the book says it can morph into something else entirely. A peak experience. Something so intense that in Turkish, it has its own special word, aşk.
So what is aşk? This isn't just, liking someone a lot. This is next level. It's an intense, passionate, all-consuming kind of love. And the perfect way to picture it is with this incredible metaphor, a cure doom, which translates to a blind knot. A knot tied so perfectly, so tightly, you can't even see how to begin to undo it.
And this idea is captured perfectly in a famous story from Islamic tradition. When asked, "How much do you love me?" the Prophet Muhammad is said to have answered, "Like a blind knot." And when the follow-up question came, "And how is the knot?" the answer was, "Like the first day." Unchanging, unbreakable, just as strong as it was in the beginning. Just wow.
Now, here's where things get really wild. You might think this is all just beautiful, ancient poetry, right? A lovely metaphor. But what if I told you that modern neuroscience actually backs this up?
Take a look at this. It's pretty straightforward. Researchers scanned the brains of people who were, head over heels in love. And guess what? The parts of our brain that handle rational thought and decision-making, they literally power down, as you can see. Our logical brain just kind of takes a nap.
So it turns out the poets were onto something. The science tells us what the mystics knew all along. That whole idea of being blindly in love, that blind knot, isn't just a figure of speech. In a very real neurological way, love actually is blind. All right, we've talked about the foundation, we've talked about the peak experience, and now we get to the heart of it all, the main event, the 7 colors of love. Okay, so the big idea here is that the way we love is directly tied to our own personal growth. In Sufi thought, we all have this self, or nefs, which is kind of like our ego, and it goes through 7 stages of development. The book brilliantly maps a different color of love to each stage.
You start at blue, which is tied to the commanding self. That's a very primitive, demanding love. But as you grow, you move up through the colors, through the yellow of the reproaching self that starts to feel guilt, to the red of the inspired self. And if you climb higher toward green, white, and finally a colorless light, love becomes less and less about your own needs and more about a selfless, spiritual connection. It's basically a roadmap from selfish love to selfless love.
So what this really does is completely reframe how we look at love, right? It's not some static thing that we just fall into and out of. It's a dynamic path. It's a journey of personal and even spiritual growth. The way you love at any given moment is like a mirror, reflecting exactly where you are on the inside.
So after all that, what's the point? Why does any of this matter to you in your own life and in your own relationships?
Well, the ultimate destination of this whole journey is captured in this absolutely beautiful quote from the Sufi poet Yunus Emre. I love the created for the sake of the creator. It's this idea that as your love matures, it expands. It moves beyond just loving one person to a love for all of creation because you see something divine in all of it.
All right, let's wrap this up with the big takeaways. First, love isn't just one thing, it's a whole developmental spectrum. Second, we can actually learn to tell the difference between that hormonal, me-focused love and a more intentional, you-focused spiritual love. Third, that crazy head over heels feeling, it's totally real, right down to our brain wiring. And finally, and this is the big one, if we start seeing love as a journey of self-development, it can change, well, pretty much everything.
And that leaves us with one final question to just let simmer. If love really is this spectrum of personal growth, this journey through all these different colors, what's your color today?